Tech by Tips.
Hello and welcome to another Tech by Tips video. First of all, I want to thank a donor to the channel, and that's Francesco Amoretti. Thank you very much for your donation. You're a rock star. You help us focus on the channel and motivate me to continue making more videos. So thank you very much. In today's video, we're going to go back again into an AI related video. I noticed that there's a lot of interest in AI related content. On my previous video on how to set up the automatic 1111 on an AMD graphics card was pretty useful. On this video, we're going to be talking about an application named Kohya SS, and this is an application that you can use to train models and LoRa's basically. So in this case, it's going to be a little bit different. I have now an RTX5090, so that's the latest generation of Nvidia cards, and I found it kind of interesting to get this set up properly because the instructions that I found online were not all there, they were not accurate. So probably there's going to be a lot of people out there that are having issues, so I'm going to be creating this guide for you so you can get this application going without any issues, making the most out of your graphics card and not having to do any workarounds, because I did see some workarounds where, for example, you used Miniconda to create a Python virtual environment and stuff like that. In this case, you're not going to need that, so it's going to be working fine without it. Let's get to that then. Alright, and the first thing that I want to cover is the prerequisites that you need to have to run this application. So the first thing you need to have is the Visual Studio C++ redistributable. This is 2015 to 2022, and you need to have that installed. Then right after you have that, you need to install Git 64-bit, and that's so that you can clone repositories from GitHub using your command line. And then after that, you need to install Python 3.10.11, which is the latest executable that you can find for Python 3.10. So you need to install that. And those are the three things that are generic. And then we go into the things that are specific to the RTX 5090. You need to install the latest driver for your graphics card. So you go into the Nvidia website and pull that out and install it. And then you also need to install the CUDA framework version 12.9.0. And you also need to install the QDNN version 9.10.1, which is the latest version that I found. And once you have all of this installed, then you have all the prerequisites before we get started. Alright, so now that we have all the prerequisites, we can start with the process. And the first thing is we need a folder in our computer where we're going to be putting the application. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to put the installation in a folder named video in my F drive. So to get to here in a command prompt, we click here and we type command and then press enter. And that'll get us a command prompt window that is located in that path that we had here. Now that we have that folder and we're in the right location, we should be able to then clone the repository using the git clone command. And we're going to put https and then github.com, and then the name of the repository is b maltese kohya _ss.git, and we press enter, and that's going to clone that repository because we have git installed, and we get it into this folder as we can see here. So we can get into this directory now by doing cd Kohya SS, and now we're in there. Let's clear this up. And then now that we're here, we need to make sure that we're using the dev branch of Kohya, because the master branch as of now, which is May 23rd, 2025, doesn't have everything ready for it to work on the RTX 5090, or basically the 5000 series. So we need to move into the dev branch because that's the one that does have that. So we're going to do git checkout dev, and that's going to move us to the branch dev, and then we're going to make sure that we have the latest version. So I'm going to do a git pull. Should pull nothing because I just cloned it, but just in case. And there we go, we're already up to date, so we can clear this out again. And now that we have that, then the first thing that we need to do here is that inside this folder, if you look, we don't have a virtual environment here. So we need to create a virtual environment. So I'm going to say Python m and then VM, that's going to be the name of my virtual environment, and you'll see here that a new folder for the virtual environment was created. So now that we have that virtual environment, let's wait for this. There we go, it finished, so we can clear this out again. the next thing that we need to do is we need to activate this virtual environment. So to do that, we put the name of the environment that we created, and then we go into the scripts directory, and there's one script called activate. So we activate it, and now that we can see that it has the VM on a parenthesis here, it means that we're inside our virtual environment. So now that we are here, we're good to proceed. Now, the first thing that we need to do is there's a requirement that comes with this repository that we have to remove. So open the requirements text file and look for deep speed and comment that out, because that's going to cause problems for the 5090 or the 5000 series. So get rid of that, save it and close. Now that we have that done, then we should be able to execute the setup bat file. And that's going to do the installation of the application. So now that we're in this repository, we can basically say setup.bat. Then it's going to start that script, and then it's going to give us like a menu of things that tells us what we want to do and prompts us for that. So there we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select option 1, which is install Kohya SS GUI, and we press enter. And this is going to take a little bit of time because it's going to download a bunch of stuff from the internet. So we need to just leave it alone, wait for it to complete the downloading and the setup of all the requirements that it needs. So it's going to put all of the stuff in the virtual environment that we just created. So for example, you see it's getting Torch 250 for CUDA 12.4, so it's going to dump that into the virtual environment directory, and then it's going to download PyTorch, as you can see, and then it's going to get Torch Vision and Xformers and a bunch of other requirements. Just let it do its thing. You see it's pulling a lot of stuff and storing that in the virtual environment, so let's be patient until that is done. Alright, it takes some time, so be patient. If you see that it kind of doesn't respond, it's just working in the background. As you can see, I pressed enter a few times, so the menu came back up again. And now that we have installed all the dependencies that are common for the application, the next thing that we need to do is we need to configure accelerate manually. So that's option number 5. So we select here option number 5, and now we're going to say that the configuration is going to be as follows. For this machine, no distributed training, and then training on CPU, we say no. Do you want to optimize with Torch Dynamo? No. Do you want to use deep speed? No. Remember, we got rid of that. And then what GPU you want to use? I'm going to say all. And then, would you like to enable NUMA efficiencies? No. And then what kind of precision we want to use. In my case, since I have a 5090, I can say BF16. If you have another, or probably even like the safest bet is to go FP16. But for 5090, for sure you can select BF16. So that's what I'm going to do. And now it is configured. So we're good here. Now we should be able to press 7 and exit the setup script. And that is it. We are done on this part here. So let's clear the screen again. And now another thing that we need to do is we need to validate that some things have been installed properly. Let's reactivate the virtual environment because with the script it went away. So right, we're back in the virtual environment, and then I'm going to do a pip install, and then I want to validate that it installed Torch, Torch Vision, Torch Audio, but I want to specify that I wanted the version that is using the index URL of https download.pytorch.org WHL, and then for CUDA 12.8, and then we press enter, and then it's going to check, and it says requirement already satisfied for everything. So we're good. It means that everything seems to have been installed properly. So let's just wait for this to finish, and then we get access to our command line again so we can control it. Notice that here it found that it installed a previous version, which was the CUDA 12.4 of Torch, so it's uninstalling that to then install the newer version, which is 12.8. Alright, and it finished. It got rid of the older versions of the other things that it found, and it said successfully installed all the other stuff that we wanted, which is version CUDA 12.8. So now that we have that, we need to then go ahead and do another pip install, and then we're gonna do a R for requirements, but we want the requirements for Windows file that we have here. Make sure that all of that is installed. So run that, and then it's gonna do its thing. It's gonna check. So far you can see that requirements are already satisfied for most of the things, so that's it. It is up to speed, so we're good with that. The next thing that we need to do is we need to do another pip install, but this one is going to be for Xformers, and we're going to say that we want version 0.0.30, and we want to specify again the index URL for https download pytorch.org WHL CUDA 12.8, and let it run. It says requirement already satisfied for most of the things, so that is good. It means that we have all we need. Let's wait for it to finish, and now we're gonna then make sure that we also have pip install bits and bytes, but let's put a -u before that, so pip install -u bits and bytes. And again, requirements already satisfied, so that is very good. And now the other thing that we need to do is pip install gradio to make sure that we have that. And again, requirements already satisfied, so everything is looking good here. So we can clear out of here, and now we should be able to run the application and make sure that everything works. So we can do that by calling the Python Kohya GUI.python. And then we can specify some flags here, for example, no verify, and then the listen, I want to listen on all IPs, and then the server underscore port, I'm going to say 7861 because I run the automatic 1111 on 7860, so that's perfect for me. We run this, and then we wait for it to start the application. It's going to take a little bit of time, so we are patient. Alright, so now we can see that it is skipping the requirements verification, and it says that we should be able to access our instance on port 7861, so we can validate that by going into our browser. And let's go here into, and there we go. It's loading the Kohya SS GUI, and it's perfect. It's working for us. Now we should be able to use this to train our LoRa's if we want. So now that we have the application installed and ready, we can then create, let's go back one folder, a script to trigger the application to start automatically. So how do you do that? Well, you go here and create a text file, and you name it like startkohya.bat. Then make sure to remove the .text at the very end, so it's a bat file, and say yes to convert it to a bat file. And then what you have to put in here is very simple, is @echo off, so it doesn't output any information there. And then you're gonna call a transfer into the directory here. So we're gonna change directory into the folder where we have Kohya, and then we're gonna call our virtual environment to get activated. And then we're going to call the script that starts the application with the parameters that we want. And that's all that you need to have in this script. And then to test it, you just double click it. It's going to open up a command prompt window. And you just wait a little bit, and then you'll see that it starts the application. And once you get the confirmation that the application is going, you can validate it by going into your browser and making sure that you can access that URL that is specified there. So there we go. It says it's running now. So if we go back in here, we should refresh, and the application should still respond. So with that script, we can very easily restart the application, and there we go. Now we have that. So I hope you find this video useful. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so, because that really helps us to grow. And comment on the comment section below if there's anything you would like to see featured on the channel, because most of the videos that I've been making recently are video requests from people. Remember that I prioritize the video requests from donors. So if you donate and you're interested in me covering something, make a note of that you have donated and you want a video to be covered, because I'll prioritize those. And another thing is, you should have noticed that there was no ad on my video. That is on purpose. I'm not monetizing the channel, but that also means that all the effort that I spent into making all these videos return me zero money. So if you like the content and you want to support me, feel free to go into the link in the description below for PayPal. You can donate through PayPal, or there's also a Bitcoin address if you prefer to do it that way. Either way would be appreciated, and you're going to be shout out in the next video after your donation. So that's going to be it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.